Part 280. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu. Chapter 2791. Xiao Liyuli's eyes scanned the surrounding area, and while talking, the gesture of gnashing her teeth was very real. While talking at the moment, his lips murmured unnaturally. Anyway, in my heart, it seems that something is not quite right. Xiao Liyuli, this is a brothel. Isn't the environment here quite normal? Come on, go over there and find a seat to sit down and take a look. Fang Fan narrowed his eyes, and then took a deep look at the dancers who were dancing on the stage. At this moment, he couldn't help showing a strange look on his face. You really want to see it? Is it true that domestic flowers are not as fragrant as wild flowers? Is your heart moved? How can you look like this? While talking, Xiao Liyuli pursed her lips, and the gesture of gnashing her teeth while speaking was vividly displayed. Needless to say anything else, anyway, this feeling is very pure. Anyway, there are some complaints in my heart that I can't open. This wave of emotion seems very complicated. Liyuli, brother Fang Fan may have discovered something and wants to investigate further. After all, Lu Jiyi still wanted to be more rational, and her eyes also glanced at the dancers on the high platform, and the look of astonishment on her face also increased. Needless to say anything else, this feeling is still very real. Fang Fan nodded secretly. In fact, it was probably what Lu Jiyi said. He did find something amiss around the perimeter. If it's not right and you don't explain it clearly, the situation is really complicated. Fang Fan let out a mouthful of turbid air, and his facial expression changed very quickly. Because Zhao Wei is the young master of Yanchun Building, he was directly assigned a private room. At the same time, the steward of this Yanchun Building also walked over with a look of hospitality. Young master, you didn't say a word early when you came, so that my subordinates can take care of you. Young master, what orders do you have here? Just say it. As long as I can do it, I will definitely not refuse. Young lord, how is the guild master recently? I don't see him coming to my Yanchun Building to give guidance. Young master, how about I give you a few virgins? Little lord. As Suan, the steward of Yanchun Building, spoke, the flattering look on his face became more and more. If you serve the master in front of you well, you will be able to develop in the future. Otherwise, wouldn't this wave just follow Liang Liang? This is my boss. What my boss says is what? Just listen to him. Zhao Wei waved his hand, then shrugged and said. Suan, the steward of Yanchun Building, subconsciously froze for a moment. Boss. This seems a bit interesting. This wave of feelings is in place, what else can I say? The young master's boss, what level of existence is that? Suan, the steward of Yanchun Building, took a deep breath, and then focused his attention on Fang Fan, not daring to slack off at this moment. If something goes wrong, it will really be cool. So no matter what, we must follow and stabilize. This wave of stability is the most necessary. Yes. I see. This young master, the boss of the young master. The steward of Yanchun Building opened his mouth, feeling that this title was a bit awkward. Just call me Fang Fan. Fang Fan shrugged and said very calmly. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu. Chapter 2792. Yes. Mr. Fang Fan, do you need anything? As long as I can do it, I will deal with it immediately. The steward of Yanchun Tower nodded, and then said in a deeply appreciative manner. Do you know the origins of those dancers on the stage? Fang Fan narrowed his eyes and asked directly. There does appear to be some doorway here. It looks like there are some problems. Dancing girl. for it. This. Mr. Fang Fan fell in love with those dancing girls. I'll arrange for you right away. Did you fall in love with one or all of them? I'll prepare a superior room for Mr. Fang Fan immediately. Suan, the steward of Yanshan building, raised his eyebrows, and he couldn't help showing excitement on his face while talking. Needless to say anything else, anyway, this expression and gesture at this moment is very pure. While talking, he quickly nodded and bowed. What is expressed is probably such an attitude. Pure and genuine. Fang Fan. Good guy. Can't you just stop there? Could this be a misunderstanding? Fang Fan could feel that little Li Yulai had stretched out her small hand to aim at the soft flesh in his waist. Don't think too much. I mean, didn't these dancing girls exist in the past? Are you here recently? How did they come to your Yanshan building? Fang Fan's gaze continued to scan the stage. Although these dancers had already concealed it very well, there were some things that really couldn't be concealed. For example, their mighty combat power. This mighty combat power erupted directly, giving people an extraordinarily strong sense of sprinting consciousness. Of course, if ordinary people don't care, they won't see it. After all, this is the brothel where the practitioners live, and the accompanying dancers and singers are actually all cultivated. They came here to earn some star cores for their own cultivation. This. Mr. Fang Fan, you may not be very clear. The dancers in our Yanshan building are divided into two batches. One is our own, and the other is usually for temporary dancing. If I remember correctly, these dancers, they should have come here 2 days ago. At that time, the price they asked for was low, and they were all good looking. They were very popular with customers, so they stayed. It's really not easy to find such a good quality and cheap dancer. Of course, if Mr. Fang Fan likes it, I'll talk to them and give them a sufficient price, and then it's not a problem to come and serve Mr. Fang Fan. Hey. Mr. Fang Fan is the boss of our young master, so our Yanshan building naturally wants to give Mr. Fang Fan a feeling of being at home. Suan, the steward of Yanshan building, is the kind of person who is more able to deal with things. While talking, he quickly followed suit. If this is the kind of person whose mind is not firm, he may sink into it directly and cannot extricate himself. But generally speaking, Fang Fan is okay, and he won't get involved too much in this matter. At this moment, Fang Fan also knew the message he wanted. Just not sure yet. It just so happened that Suan, the steward of Yanshan building, invited me so kindly. Fang Fan rolled his eyes, then smiled silently. That's a good thing. Don't talk about anything else, let them come to the box, just say that I want to buy them a drink. Don't say anything else. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 2793. Fang Fan let out a breath while talking, and his facial expression changed a little. This time the idea is gathered in the heart, basically it is safe. These things that come to mind come together, and they complement each other. Fang Fan. You still want to call them over for a drink. You still say you have no idea about them. I think you have big ideas. Oh my God. I actually believe you. Are all of you men like this? Xiao Li Yulai's vinegar jar was overturned again. She pouted while talking, the expression on her face changed very real. Needless to say anything else, this kind of feeling is invisibly followed by a comprehensive accumulation. On the whole, it is probably such an attitude. It's not a question of believing or not. Don't think about it. I do this naturally for my own purpose. Be prepared to fight, maybe it won't stop later. Fang Fan secretly narrowed his eyes, and while talking, his facial expression changed very realistically. At this moment, thinking in his heart, Fang Fan was already slowly making calculations. Xiao Liulai has always belonged to that kind of silly and cute type, so naturally she doesn't see it so deeply. For Xiao Liulai, to say these words directly, to a certain extent, it still seems a bit involved. In other words, it is difficult to turn this corner for a while. But Fang Fan felt that as long as he mentioned it a little bit, it shouldn't be a problem. After all, the overall situation has become extremely clear virtually. Fang Fan let out a breath, thinking to himself, the calm look in his heart became more and more. Xiao Liulai blinked, although there was still some strangeness on her face, but at least she didn't say much at the moment, but fell into silence silently. Lu Jiyi listened silently and did not speak, but her eyes seemed a little cunning. Daji is ready to fully cast spells. As for Zhao Wei, he is still eating and drinking. This guy is not very interested in the characters in Yanchunlu, but for some reason, he just loves these high-calorie foods. But I don't like to practice. I can't digest these high-calorie and high-energy foods for a while, and then it evolved into this. In a way, it seems quite real. I know this. Naturally this time, we must fully stabilize, and we must not slack off in the slightest. Boss. Otherwise, I'll go to Yanchun building and find some thugs for you, so you can be safer. Zhao Wei sighed while gnawing on the dragon's hoof. This is not necessary. Those few are not invincible. You don't need to think too much about it. It's better to be relatively safe now anyway. Fang Fan stretched his waist, his face full of casualness. After about 7 or 8 minutes, there was a knock on the door, followed by Suan, the steward of Yanchun building, and brought in 7 graceful dancers. Looking at the past at a glance, the flowers are red and willows are green, colorful, but they have a special flavor. At least at this moment, it looks a little different, and there will be more or less a sense of strangeness on the surface. Mr. Fang Fan, I have already found him. What do you think you want to do with it? These are all according to your wishes. Hey. Mr. Fang Fan, I've already talked with them. It's not a problem to drink with them. Even if you want to know more about it. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 2794. Suan, the steward of Yanchun building, showed an expression that both of you and I understand. While talking, the changes in facial expressions were particularly wonderful. Needless to say anything else for the time being, this kind of feeling is invisibly followed by a comprehensive accumulation. Fang Fan smiled wryly. Why did you get into these fancy things again? He said it before, there is no need to get involved in this matter, he understands everything. Why can't I understand this? The plain facts, let's be clear, isn't it good? Okay, thank you, Manager Su. Fang Fan didn't say much, just nodded along. At this moment, he couldn't help looking at the 7 dancing girls in front of him, and a wicked smile gradually appeared on his face. This looks more and more interesting. This time the thoughts are gathered here, and the facial expressions are unpredictable. What are your names? Just now I saw your dance with admiration, so I thought of inviting you to talk about it through Manager Suan. Several, don't you mind? Fang Fan poured himself a glass of wine, and while talking, the light in his eyes became more and more bright. Needless to say anything else, this attitude must be shown clearly, anyway, it is such an attitude, casual, calm and more real. The guest officer was joking, how could we refuse the guest officer's invitation? My name is Xian'er, these are my sisters. Guest officer, you are too greedy. You have female companions by your side, and they are all so beautiful. Under such circumstances, it is not good for you to summon us here. The dancer girl named Sienna was talking, and then laughed along with her. Looking at it from this moment, she had a different feeling. Fang Fan narrowed his eyes secretly, and the corners of his mouth rose up all over. At this moment, some feelings could not help but increase. Interesting. A wave of feeling is in place, and the idea gradually takes off in full swing. What's so good about it? Miss Sienna is so beautiful, why bother to say that? Miss Sienna doesn't look like a person from Guangming Holy City. This accent, seems to be a bit different. Fang Fan said something calmly. In fact, he wanted to make a cliché at this time. Needless to say anything else, this attitude must be in place. In the end, it was probably such a pure gesture. I don't look like someone from the Holy City of Light. How did you say that? Guest officer, I don't understand what you're saying. Guest officer, did you ask us to come over for a drink? Why do I feel that you are a drunkard who doesn't care about drinking? Guest officer, if you have nothing to do, I'll leave first. The complexion of the dancing girl named Sienna changed imperceptibly. There is no doubt that she was guilty. The corners of Fang Fan's mouth raised silently. Isn't this mental quality too bad? It's just that it's impossible for these dancers to escape at this moment. Fang Fan hinted that Manager Suan had blocked the door. Seeing the door close, the dancer named Sienna's complexion became more and more ugly. At the same time, the sound of breathing couldn't help but become extremely rapid, and the fingers couldn't help trembling slightly. Needless to say anything else, this feeling is particularly pure. Etc. I want to leave so anxiously. What do you mean? This is boring. What should we do? In our hearts, there should always be something, shouldn't we? Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 2795. Fang Fan stood up suddenly, his eyes flashed with a different kind of brilliance. This time, there is no need to hide anything, just show it in a high-profile manner, it's just a punch. There is nothing else to say. The facial expressions are already in place. At this moment, those dancers are just pretending to be calm. In fact, the sense of panic in my heart has long been in place, but at the moment I seem to be more or less confused. Guest officer. We don't want to, so why are you still coercing us? Does it seem too unreasonable for you to do this? Although we are still dancers living in such a place, we still have dignity. If your excellency speaks like this, wouldn't it seem too rude? I hope you can speak more clearly. Otherwise let's leave. The other dancers were a little eager to move, but the leading dancer named Sienna seemed a little wise. At this moment, the expression on his face was extremely pure, he didn't say anything else, he just stood there indifferently, his posture was full. Probably such a gesture. Let you leave. He. You don't really think that no one knows that you are the assassin spies of the dark camp, do you? Do you really think that no one will know if you hide here? This is your idea a little too simple. Fang Fan shrugged, while talking, his forehead raised subconsciously, and now he was talking more and more interested. Ideas gather here, feelings take off directly and comprehensively. This can be regarded as a direct showdown. It can be regarded as a blow. If the mentality of this group of people is a little bit worse, after such an explosion, they will naturally panic in their hearts, and it will be much easier to proceed with the next thing. What did this guest officer say? I really don't understand what you're saying. As I said just now, if you want to use this forceful method, there is absolutely no way I will agree here. I hope you can clarify this. At this point, make things clear. As for the rest, I don't want to say more. Even if Suan is in charge, it is absolutely impossible to force me. Sisters, let's go. A few dancers are about to break through the door. It's just that there is already a hell three-headed dog blocking the door. A howl was in place, and the complexions of the dancers changed. How could they not know that this wave of their own has encountered a hard stubble? It's really not that simple to escape easily. In terms of situation, they were directly blocked. If you are not careful, you will lose everything. This can be followed by a hammer. Cool Moonlight is practicing to the end. Sister, stop talking nonsense with them. These people are sent by the Temple of the Alliance of Light and the Academy of Light to hunt us down. Our trail has been found. Big sister, fight them. Kill. At this time, one of the dancers couldn't stand the pressure and blew himself up as a werewolf, and then launched a full-scale attack on Fang Fan. The dancer who launched the attack was only at the 3-star sanctuary level, and because of her injuries, she could only display her 2-star sanctuary level combat power. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 2796. So this wave is basically here to die. To some extent, it is useless at all. Going up is a wave of fat beatings, probably just such a pure idea and feeling. Whoosh. Whoosh whoosh. A sword shadow flickered past, and then the lingering sword light rushed over directly, giving people a sense of infinite oppression on the will. It's just that this combat power is indeed a bit tricky. Before Fang Fan made any movement, Xiao Liulai on the side rushed out first. Whoosh. Whoosh whoosh. The craggy sword light flickered, giving people a sense of endless shock in consciousness. The sound of breathing became extremely rapid. Needless to say about other things for the time being, this feeling is virtually in place. Click. Xiao Liulai caught the sword in the dancing girl assassin's hand with one hand, and immediately broke it. Then push it out with one palm. Boom. The shining palm prints on it inexplicably gave people a sense of shock. Puff. Cough, cough cough cough. Big sister, so strong. The dancer assassin who initiated the surprise attack blushed while talking, and started spitting out blood while talking. The blood mark covered it, inexplicably giving people a sense of mental shock. Then the dancer assassin spit out a few more mouthfuls of blood, and collapsed after spitting out. Cool situation has been established. Probably such a particularly real feeling. Feel in place, directly follow the full takeoff. Fang Fan glanced at Xiao Liulai beside him unexpectedly. Good guy, this is getting more and more crazy. Awesome, coaxing and beating all dissatisfied. This palm is killing people. This explosive power is a bit strong. And the sense of rhythm that erupts is very strong. Fang Fan let out a mouthful of foul breath silently. He didn't know what to say at this moment. There is a high probability that choosing silence is the best choice. Humph. Who let these women seduce you in the first place? Humph. I just don't agree. These women are disgusting. You must teach yourself a lesson. While talking, Xiao Liulai nodded in agreement and said, Don't need to say much about the others for the time being, it's quite logical at this time. As if that was really the case. Fang Fan supported his forehead. He didn't want to say anything anymore. Offending a woman is likely to be the result. Creatures like women are a bit too scary. It explodes in minutes, who can resist it? This wave is really unsteady. It turns out that you are students of Guangming Academy. Hee, it seems that our sister's luck is really bad. Just after escaping, I ran into you evil stars. At such a young age, he already has a 5-star sanctuary combat power. I heard that the ones who came to hunt us down this time were students from the first year seed class. If that's the case, tisk, there's something there. The first year seed class of Guangming Academy, the 5-star sanctuary, that is also an absolute elite. I didn't expect my luck to be so good. This is when I ran into an elite. It's worth killing one of you. Even if we all die, it's okay. Sisters. The opportunity to serve the dark gods has come. For death. Follow me. Kill. Completely kill. The leading dancer gave an order, and immediately the other dancers heard the news and moved. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 2797. The scene one seemed very sensational. There were 7 dancer assassins in total, 1 was killed, and there were 6 left. He rushed over violently, and the scene exploded. Of course, among this group of dancing girl assassins, the strongest one is only at the 4-star sanctuary realm, which is much worse than Fang Fan and others' combat power. A wave of sprinting in place is basically a full coverage crush and fight. It is probably such a pure and real look. Overall, there were no surprises. It's just that when the leader of the dancers blew himself up, the power of the explosion was a bit strong, and the surrounding boxes were directly destroyed. Fang Fan glanced around. Immediately, the corners of his mouth raised silently, and the gleam in his eyes also invisibly increased. Xiao Li Yulai, Daji, and Lu Jiyi are all fighting hard, and each has their own gains. As for Zhao Wei, another member of Fang Fan's team, he fled immediately after the battle began. Things on the scene seem very pure. Zhao Wei curled up inside the mini version of the Black Tortoise ship, which looked very cute. After the battle was over, Zhao Wei stretched his waist and followed him out. At this moment, his eyes scanned the surrounding area, and then he nodded quickly. Cough, it's gone. Boss, you are really amazing. You are so powerful. Boss. Hang and beat everyone who refuses to accept it? It's too strong. Boss. How did you find out that there is something wrong with these dancers? I didn't feel it at first. I felt quite normal at first. Ah, what the hell is going on? Boss. You are amazing. Take off. Boss. What were you thinking in your heart at that time? Boss. Zhao Wei also became a chatterbox at some point. Now it is a state of many thieves? While talking, he nodded and bowed quickly, probably in such a gesture. Pure and true. Now Zhao Wei is like 100,000 reasons, as if he is still interested in everything, his eyes are about to fly away. The sound of breathing became imperceptibly rapid, probably because of such a pure state of mind. Husband, I'm also curious. At that time, when I saw you staring at those dancing girls, I thought you really fell in love with them. I didn't expect you to be observing the enemy's situation. Husband, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have said that at the beginning. Husband, can you forgive me? I won't, and I dare not. Husband. Xiao Li Yulai blinked and blinked, with a timid look on her face. Needless to say anything else, this wave has a comic effect. Under normal circumstances, Fang Fan doesn't want to laugh, unless he really can't help it. Okay. I don't blame you. Trust me more in the future. Am I the kind of man who wants to change his mind? Fang Fan shrugged. With a haughty face. Who are you? If you didn't change your mind, how could there be so many women dreaming of you? Scumbag. Xiao Li Yulai gritted her teeth resentfully. For this, she has always recognized it very much. Anyway, in her heart, she felt that Fang Fan was undoubtedly a scumbag. It was probably such a pure idea. No matter what Fang Fan will do to make up for it, this first impression has already been set. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 2798. Whenever Fang Fan and Xiao Liyulai were arguing, Lu Jiyi would show some envy on her face. This envy is real and pure. Although she has some special relationship with Fang Fan, it is not enough to support them to joke around at will. Maybe the way Fang Fan communicates with Xiao Liyulai is normal? Lu Jiyi thought to herself, her eyes turned subconsciously. Thoughts gather here, and the state of mind also changes. In the next few days, Fang Fan wandered around with the people in the team, and basically did not encounter any unexpected strong people. Everything is in a state of indifference. The next mission objective. Bright Holy City, Suiyun Avenue, Mon, a 6-star sanctuary spy from the Dark Camp, may be here. According to the latest information, he should live in the Tianming Inn. Now Fang Fan also wants to challenge some difficult ones. It's not interesting to challenge something like this without difficulty. Going up is basically being hanged and beaten, what else can I say? The cool moonlight paves the way for me. It was probably such a pure idea and thought, thinking to myself, the facial expression changes are very real. Help! Help! Ah! Cao, don't chase after me. I didn't intend to kill you. It was those women who said that your heads are going to be sacrificed. Can your knife stop shaking up and down all the time? Brother, can't you follow along and stop for a while? I'll wipe, I'm under a lot of pressure, okay. Can't you be a little more stable? I really have a headache. I really regret it, don't talk to me about women in the future, I hate women the most in my life. I was heartbroken by women. A howling sound followed, and the gnashing of teeth was vividly displayed. Needless to say anything else for the time being, this kind of feeling is invisibly followed by an all-round accumulation. What is displayed is probably such a pure gesture. At first, Fang Fan and the others really didn't pay much attention to the miserable roar. But gradually, the expression on Fang Fan's face changed. This is so, something is not quite right. This voice is very desolate and euphemistic. The more you listen, the more wrong it becomes. The more I heard, the less it was the case. This voice seems a little familiar. Fang Fan squinted his eyes, and then said with a foul breath. Roar. This is my boss voice. Roar. Master, go find my boss. The mythical Pixio jumped out of Xiaoliyulai's arms, while talking, it jumped quite high. The boss of Pixio is actually Bai Piao. These two guys have been working hand in hand before, and now they are on good terms. Then Bai Piao tricked the mythical Pixio into his little brother, that's probably what happened. I didn't expect you to miss Bai Piao. What good did he do to you? I haven't seen him feeding you the star core on weekdays. Fang Fan narrowed his eyes, with a puzzled look on his face. Now, apart from being intimate with Xiao Liyulai, this devouring divine beast is also close to Zhao Wei. The main reason is that Zhao Wei took out tens of thousands, millions, or even hundreds of millions of star cores and smashed them into the mouth of this mythical beast. Anyway, Zhao Wei is a boy who spreads money, so it doesn't matter about star cores. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 2799. Am I the kind of beast that only cares about the star core? The relationship between me and my boss is true love. Pixio mythical beast spoke, then raised its head and chest, excitedly. This is also followed by arrogance. The corner of Fang Fan's mouth twitched subconsciously, and at this moment his scalp felt a little numb for no reason. So beautiful. Show so scalp numb. Can you hold on a little bit? This wave is really unbearable. Why are things so complicated? Can you please stop talking? What are you talking about? True feelings. True feelings with a hammer. What are the feelings? Don't you have any points in your heart? It's a good thing that you are working together. Little Leuli blinked at the side, and then focused her gaze directly on the mythical beast. This guy will naturally not admit it. At this time, it is to follow the overall stability. Why? Now is not the time to talk about this. Save my boss. This wave must be followed and stabilized. He screamed so miserable. The mythical pixie shook its head and spoke, and then said with emotion from the side. Needless to say anything else for the time being, this kind of feeling is invisibly followed by a comprehensive accumulation. What I am talking about at this moment is such an idea and mentality. Pure and true. In the distance, everyone gradually saw a familiar figure. Who could it be if it wasn't Bai Piao? It's just that this guy looks quite miserable at this moment, with bruises all over his body. Blood continued to flow down the wound, and the whole body couldn't stop shaking. Bai Piao's defense is really good. But there is a limit. Bloodshed is inevitable. However, this guy has the attribute of a blood cow, and it seems that no matter how much blood is shed, he can eventually return to his original state. Among other things, this ability is very strong. At this moment, behind Bai Piao, several men in black are chasing after him. At a distance that Bai Piao didn't want, there were two women running away in panic. Fang Fan squinted his eyes and took a look. He could basically confirm that these two women were also students of the first-year seed class. Before, Bai Piao had already snarled too much, so he was placed in a women's team by Tai Shuja. In that team of 5, except for Bai Piao, the other 4 were all women, probably in this state. And these 4 women are really not bad in appearance, but their cultivation base is a little bit worse. Basically they are all 3-star middle-level sanctuary realm. You must know that in the seed class of the first grade, the 3-star middle-level saint realm, the existence of the realm is basically at the bottom. In other words, this is trash. The trash of the trash. This is also an important reason why these female students are good looking, but no one is willing to form a team with them. In the end, they can only sign up for a team to keep warm. Finally, a Bai Piao was added. The number of people was just right. Just in good condition, a wave followed by an all-round takeoff. Bai Piao in the distance is still howling continuously. But gradually, his wailing gradually subsided a lot, and finally disappeared. Nothing. Nothing left. Ah, this. Bai Piao's eyes began to glow, and tears began to flow. He sees hope. Saw a savior. His days of suffering can be rid of. He wants to fly all over the place. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 2800. Boy Fang Fan. Bai Piao roared as much as he could, and while roaring, the sound of breathing became extremely rapid. At this moment, I don't know what to say at this moment. Anyway, I feel extremely excited and impulsive. He saw Fang Fan. That's a surprise. It's taking off. At this moment, my whole body trembled. That is it. Boy Fang Fan. Help me. I will never be separated from you again. Hey. These women are so stupid. I don't even know how much I weigh. This is the situation, and you still want to provoke the spies and assassins of the dark camp. I'm really convinced too. If you want to pull it, you can't pull it at all. Wipe. Why is there such a person? What's going on in your heart? I really don't understand at all. Boy Fang Fan, it's good to see you. Boy Fang Fan, woo, woo woo, I'm so moved. The yelling continued. This guy Bai Biao always likes to howl constantly. Anyway, that's the attitude from beginning to end. Pure and true. Bai Biao found Fang Fan and the others, and naturally all the assassins and spies from the dark faction chasing after him also found out. At this moment, their speed of pursuit slowed down a little, but then they sprinted forward again. Then he rushed to Bai Biao's side, and directly chose to blow himself up. Boom! Bang bang bang! There were continuous explosions, and Bai Biao was a little confused by the explosion. He is stupid. This wave immediately followed in shock. Wipe! Are you crazy? Do you want to live? This brain really hurts, okay. Just a little more secure, isn't it delicious? We are in this big family, and it is also very embarrassing, okay. CAO. This group of people are crazy. Is it fun to blow yourself up? Is this a fool, or a complete lunatic? I cannot stand it anymore. With blood and tears in Bai Biao's eyes, he ran away without stopping. Any more delay, and my life will be completely ruined inside. Attack. Destroy the dark faction assassins. Fang Fan waved his hand, and then Lu Jiyi, Xiao Liyulai and Daji rushed forward. As for Zhao Wei, he habitually took out his miniature Suanwu iron ship. It's good to paddle along with this wave. These chasing dark camp practitioners are basically 3-star to 5-star sanctuary realm existences, which are really not that strong for Fang Fan and others. So after this wave of crushing, basically I can't feel anything. No panic at all. Anyway, that's what happened, that's all. There is no need to say anything else. The strange thing is that after the black-robed cultivators of the dark camp felt that they had no hope of winning, their first reaction was not to run away, but to blow themselves up. Just like puppets without flesh and blood, the sound of self-destruction is endless. Thinking about it this time, I don't need to say anything more, basically that's what happened. Bai Biao, who survived the catastrophe, subconsciously took a breath, and his lips twitched unnaturally. It's so difficult. Almost cold. Fang Fan boy. Fortunately, you came in time, otherwise I will fly into the sky in this wave. Why? It's so bitter and desolate. No matter what happens in the future, I will not leave. We're going to be together forever.